Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome to an OpenTTD tips video. I've been playing OpenTTD for many years, and I thought I'd share some of the tips that I've learnt over that time with you. So here is a random collection of tips. Build a statue of the company owner. This first tip is quite easy. If you click on the town or city's name and then go into the local authority option, you can see a number of different items that you can do with the local authority. One of those is build a statue of the company owner. Now, you can see that it says here that it will cost quite a large amount of money, and it doesn't actually tell you of any benefits. But if you do it and then look in the town, you will see that there will be a statue somewhere in the town. There's one just here now where there wasn't previously, just under the name. Now what this will do will increase your ratings at your stations in the area. Better ratings means that you will get more people at your stations or goods, and that will mean you can then transport more stuff and make more money. So if you can afford to build a statue, it's always best to do so. Get your stations in before transforming the land too much. So here we have a town near a hill. If I want to get rid of that hill, maybe with the landscaping options here, and remove it, this town would immediately hate me, like lots. Watch, if we go to local authority, and you see we haven't really got any ratings, but if we dip and cut a bit through the land, let's say we want to put a little railway line through here, you can see that we're already appalling, and if we're already appalling, it won't then let you place a station. The local authority refuses to allow it. However, if you first put your station in, about there maybe, the town will let it happen, and then once you've got all your stations in, then you can bring out your landscaping tools and build that massive great big cut through the land. Because it doesn't matter that the town doesn't like you, because, well, you've already got the station in. Order your towns by population. Now this next tip is for when you're starting a game. If you're not quite sure where to go, one of the best things you can do is open up the town directory and then go to the naming option here. Now currently they're sorted by name, but you can change that to population. And if you click the sort by, you can have the biggest population towns and cities at the top of the list. This can be a very good way to pick good places to start. This place here, nice big town. This place here, also a nice big town. Also a nice area where a station could go. Bit of flat land. Really good. Even if you're not planning on necessarily starting with passengers, it might be a good idea to start with a largely populated town nearby so that you can bring the goods in and build things up, and maybe do passengers later. Pay attention to the cargo payment rates. So in the game of OpenTTD, you can go up to the graphs, and if you hold down on the graphs, you can scroll down to the cargo payment rates. If you have a look at the cargo payment rates graph, you can see that different cargoes pay out at different rates. But not only that, they change over time and distance. So here you can see that there's one clearly at the top, and in this case it's valuables. But you can see that the rate that it gets paid at decreases over time, but then also it changes that rate and decreases more over time even faster. So if you're travelling for 200 days, it's actually less valuable than this one at the top here, which is coal. So you can turn these all off and on, and you can also select certain ones to look at. For example, you can compare goods to passengers, or you can compare coal to passengers. You can see here that coal is much more viable in terms of period of payment over a certain rate. Things like grain can change dramatically after a number of days. Somewhere around 110 days, it drops off. It's these changes of rates you need to be wary of when building your lines. And what I generally recommend is that you get your train from the start to the end before the rate drops off too much. So with grain, I wouldn't have it in transit much more than about 110 days. For livestock, you can see that it drops off more at 60. Here it goes down a bit and then drops off further. So I try and keep livestock only in transit for 50 to 60 days. Anything more than this, you're going to start losing out on money. So keep an eye on the cargo payment rates for all the different types of resources that you're moving around the map. Get a base graphics pack. You can see here the graphics in the game. It looks quite nice. And this is the way it will probably look once you've installed it. This is the open graphics that the game comes with. If we start a new game, we can take a closer look and you can see that it looks okay. But if you get close up, it starts to get a bit janky, a bit funny. It's alright, it does the job, but it can be better. Now you can't change the graphics once you're in a game. If you go to the settings wheel and game options, you try and change the base graphics set, any that you've got installed will be greyed out. You need to save your game and go back to the main menu. If you haven't yet got any, you can get some new ones from the check online content option, and what you want to do is look down this list of types and you're looking for something that says base graphics. So if we just scroll down to that, you can see there's a number of different base graphics you can have. Now you just tick the one you want and click download. Once you've downloaded some graphics, you can go into the game options, click the base graphics option and change it. ZBase is my favourite, and it's the one that I do all of my tutorials and Let's Plays in. So if we change that and exit the game options, you can see that it's a much more bold sort of look, much more saturated, but it's a lot neater and I perfectly prefer it. If we go into a brand new world, we can take a closer look and there we go. You can see clean lines, nice shape, nice textures and nice patterns. I like this one and I highly recommend it. Trees. So if you find yourself in a situation where a town will not let you build a train station or any other station, this is because they refuse to allow it, probably because you've deleted all their farmland and bombed all their parks, or something to that effect. If you look at the local authority window, these guys think I'm very poor. However, there are things you can do with that. If you go to landscaping, there's a trees button, and I like to select the random type and plant lots of trees. Bam! Costs quite a bit of money, but if you go back to the local authority, you can see that they now think I'm good. You could do trees in small increments so that your ratings are just good enough to put that station in that you really, really need. Plop. Trees. They're fantastic. Full load your vehicles. So when you have vehicles going to a town or to an industry, it's generally a good idea to have them on full load. This is because having a train at the station increases the ratings at that station. If you don't have trains sat there waiting to pick up cargo, you can end up with poor ratings. If, for example, you have a station where there's regularly a train sat waiting to pick up your cargo, your ratings will be a lot better. Better ratings means better amounts of cargo, especially at industries. It's actually in the calculation the game makes to determine how much cargo you will get from an industry. So it's a good idea to have that full load, have the station always occupied to get better ratings than this. Read the OpenTTD Wiki. The OpenTTD Wiki is very good for finding out how to do something or how something works. I've come here on a number of occasions to figure something out. There's a wealth of information in here. It's not always easy to find straight away, but it's definitely worth the look. Here we see a really good example. We've got information about the company rating. You can see all the different components that go in to make your 1000 points of company rating. So if you really want to get a really fantastic company, you can see exactly what you need to do. Also things like station ratings. It gets a little bit complicated at times, but the information is laid out quite well overall, and I've learnt a lot from looking through the wiki. Grow your cities. Growing your city from the beginning of a game can give you a massive advantage later on. Placing your station down, you can usually only get a few buildings in the catchment area, but to have your city grow around it, like you can see here, gets loads and loads of passengers into your stations. And those stations can make you a large amount of money, letting you expand your network and becoming a fantastic tycoon. I have a tutorial and a how-to video on how to expand your cities, so I suggest you go check that out. And finally, the last tip is watch my tutorials. The feedback I've received from my tutorials has been fantastic, and your voice has told me that you think they're very helpful. I'm still continuing to keep them up to date and add more to it all the time, slowly, but there is a lot of material in here about various different topics, and your voice in your comments has told me that you think it's brilliant. So there you go. Everybody who hasn't seen them, I highly recommend going checking them out. So there we have it, a bunch of random tips from me. Did you like all my tips? What did you think of them? Can you think of any tips that I didn't mention? Pop them down in the comments section and maybe I'll include them in a future video. But that's all for now. If you've enjoyed the video or it was useful in any way at all, please give it a like, and if you want to see more OpenTTD and other videos from me, consider subscribing. But I hope you enjoyed it. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and goodbye.